Okay, Lamai, last day we discussed up to here. We discussed about all the separating techniques. The last one we discussed is chromatography, paper chromatography. Then what's remaining is uses of separating techniques. Here, first we are going to learn about the use where the extraction of salt happens from seawater. So, in Sri Lanka, salt is produced by the evaporation of seawater in saltons. Saltons are these ones you have seen, and in Sinhala we call them as Lunuleva. Lunuleva කියලා අහලා තියෙනවද? උත්තරම පැත්තේ තියෙනවා හම්බන්තොට තියෙනවා ලුණුලේවායන් තියෙනවා කියලා. I think you have heard. The sea water collected in the salt pans are concentrated by evaporation, during which salt crystallizes out finally. The separating techniques evaporation and crystallization are used in this method. So the two methods are used in here. One is evaporation, because the seawater is collected into large salt pans. Then evaporation happen. When evaporation happen, what happens? The salt get crystallized. The location and structure of salt is very important in the production of salt. The geographical and environmental factors that should be taken into consideration when setting up a salton are as follows. So the location and also the geographical environment factors are very important, because this should be an area where the dry climate is the climate is used for this evaporation and crystallization. Very well. Okay, like this. When setting up as salton as follows. What are the features which should be there in the environment? The geographical and environmental factors which affects this producing of salt, extraction of salt from seawater. The first one is a flat land situated closer to a coastal area to obtain seawater easily. So the land should be flat one, and it should be really near to the coastal area. That is the first one. The second one, presence of a clay soil with minimum percolation of water. So the soil, the type of soil should be clay in order to emit the penetration of seawater through it. Prevalence of dry and hot climate with bright sunlight and wind throughout of the year. So it will be very useful of a dry and hot climate for the evaporation process, and also bright sunlight and wind throughout the year. Okay. So the areas where the saltons are located in Sri Lanka, Puttalam and Hambantota. So they are very dry and hot climate. They have very dry and hot climate throughout the year. For the last one is an area with minimal rainfall. So these in these saltons, the salt are collected as piles and kept them for 6 months. So while they are kept for 6 months, if the rainfall occurs, what could be happen? They will be melted again. Mixed with water will be melted with water. So there should be minimal rainfall. So minimum rainfall. So these are the 4 characteristics, features which should be there in the area of a salton. Okay. So you have to remember it. Then regarding the structure of a salton, 3 types of tanks can be identified. So what are these 3 types of tanks? One is large shallow tank. The second one is medium tank. The third one is small tank. Large shallow tank, medium tank, small tank. Here the first one, the step 1 happens in these large shallow tanks. The main step of the production of salt in a salton are as follows. The seawater is either made to flood into a big shallow tanks during high tide or is pumped into them. එක්කෝ අර ඔගොල්ලෝ අහලා තියෙන්නේ වඩදිය බාදිය කියලා. එතකොට මෙන්න මේ වෙලාවේදී high tide එක තියෙන වෙලාවේදී sea water automatically made to flood into those tanks or නැත්තම් එහෙම නැත්තම් pump කරලා හරි sea water මේ big shallow tanks වලට දාන්න ඕන. Okay, large shallow tanks are first types of tanks, so it should be pumped or even made to flood, otherwise made to flood, okay, into them and allowed to evaporate by sunlight. How it get evaporated? By sunlight, no heating, just by sunlight. When the concentration is twice as double the initial concentration of seawater, or a seawater වල concentration initially seawater වල concentration එක වගේ double වෙද්දී calcium carbonate begins to crystallize and precipitate at the bottom of the first tank. මොකද වෙන්නේ? calcium carbonate precipitate වෙන ගන්නවා tank එකේ bottom එකේ. This water is then transferred into medium-sized tanks. This water then transferred into medium-sized tanks in which water evaporates further. දෙවනියට calcium carbonate precipitate වුණාට පස්සේ they have to be transferred into medium-sized tanks as is step 2, and there the evaporation happens further and the concentration of water is about 4 times the initial concentration. Initial sea water එකේ concentration එක වගේ 4 times වෙද්දී what is get precipitated? Calcium sulfate crystallizes and settles down at the bottom. In the third step, following the precipitation of calcium sulfate, the solution is allowed to flow from the medium tanks into the smaller tanks in which water is evaporated further. When the concentration is nearly 10 times the concentration of initial water වගේ 10 times with the initial sea water, salt, that means sodium chloride, the product which we need, crystallizes and precipitate at the bottom. Okay, while salt is precipitating, the concentration of the solution increases further. And salt precipitate වෙන්න ගත්තහම, crystallization වෙන්න ගත්තහම, the concentration of the solution increases further. තවදුරටත් concentration එක වැඩි වෙනවනේ. Even before the total precipitation of sodium chloride is complete. Sodium chloride සම්පූර්ණයෙන් precipitate වෙන්න කලින් what happened? Magnesium chloride MgCl2 and magnesium sulfate MgSO4 begin to precipitate. එතකොට sodium chloride precipitate වෙන්න ගත්තාම ඒක precipitate වෙලා ඉවර වෙන්නත් කලින් තව 2 compounds precipitate වෙන්න ගන්නවා, what we call them magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate begins to precipitate. This gives a bitter taste to salt. The solution left after the precipitation of salt is known as mother liquor or bittern. Then salt එකම මේ precipitate වෙන මේ MgCl2 plus MgSO4 මේ දෙන bitter taste. ඒ වගේම මේගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන property එකක් which we call as hygroscopic. ඒ කියන්නේ they have the ability to absorb water. They absorb water. වතුර absorb කරනවා. එතකොට මේක salt වල තවදුරටත් තිබුණොත් salt ටික අපි ගත්තට පස්සේ melt වෙන්න ගන්නවා. ඒ වගේම bitter taste එකක් එනවා. ඉතින් we should remove them from the salt. හරිද? දැන් මේ sodium chloride ටික crystallize වෙලා අපි ගත්තට පස්සේ ඉතුරු වෙන liquid එකට what we call it as mother liquor or bittern. mother liquor එක කියලා කියනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් bittern කියනවා. salt ගත්තට පස්සේ ඉතුරු වෙන solution එක. Okay. Salt deposited in the third tank is taken out, heaped in prismatic piles at another place and stores for a period of 6 months. Pure sodium chloride is not hygroscopic, but if salt contains magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate, it becomes bitter and hygroscopic, as well as reliquescent when exposed to the atmosphere. But as magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate absorb moisture in the atmosphere and go into the solution, with the elapse of about 6 months, most of them get removed. Salt is retained as solid. එතකොට අපි මාස 6ක් පයිල්ස් වගේ ප්‍රිස්මැටික් පයිල්ස් වගේ ගොඩ ගහලා තියෙනකොට ඒකේ තියෙන මැග්නීසියම් ක්ලෝරයිඩුයි මැග්නීසියම් සල්ෆේටුයි අර ඇට්මොස්ෆියර් එකේ තියෙන ඇට්මොස්ෆියර් එයා එකේ තියෙනවනේ gas, that means water තියෙනවනේ ඒකේ තියෙන water මේ water vapor විදිහට තියෙනවනේ ඒව ඔක්කොම moisture absorb කරලා එයා melt වෙලා අර solution එකටම mother liquor එකට නැත්තම් bittern එකටම දිය වෙලා යනවා ඊට පස්සේ we remain with what අර ටික දිය වෙලා ගියාම pure solid salt එක අපිට හම්බෙනවා okay so this is the method how the extraction of salt from seawater occurs. Now we are going to talk about extraction of essential oils. Volatile compounds obtained from plant materials are referred to as essential oils. ඒතර essential oils කියලා අපි කියන්නේ plant materials වලින් අපිට හම්බෙන volatile compounds වලට. volatile කියන්නේ වාෂ්ප වෙන විදිහේ. The reason for the characteristic aroma of some plant materials are volatile compounds that they contain. ඒතර සමහරක් plant materials වලින් එන සුවඳට හේතුව තමයි යාලා ගාව තියෙන volatile compounds. Some main essential oils produced in our country are cinnamon leaf oil, cinnamon bark oil, citronella oil, pepper, cardamom, nutmeg, cloudbud, eucalyptus. So these are the types of essential oils we prepared in Sri Lanka, produced in Sri Lanka. Cinnamon bark oil, pepper oil and cardamom oil is promote the flavor. Cinnamon bark oil එක pepper oil එක cardamom oil වගේ use කරන්නේ flavor එකට. Flavor and the scent of food okay. Cinnamon leaf oil, pepper oil and cardamom oil have medicinal properties as well as and are frequently used in the production of medicinal ointments, toothpaste and the perfumes added to soap. Some plant parts which essential oils are formed are given below. මේ තියෙන මේ plants part වලින් මේ අදාළ oils ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේ plant වල මේ part වලින් තමයි අදාළ oils ගන්න. Vetiveria roots වලින් sandalwood steam parts in which essential oils are formed. Cinnamon වල bark root leaf තුනෙන්ම ගන්නවා. Citronella it's leaf from leaf. Lemongrass is from leaf. Eucalyptus leaf. Clove, floral plants. Clove, you know, the floral part which you have most of the time you have seen this one on TV commercials where they used them for toothpaste. Rose jasmine flower for the fragrance, for adding for soaps, perfumes. Lemon and lime from fruit and nutmeg from seed. The separating techniques such as steam distillation and solvent extraction are used to extract essential oils. The main methods එක තමයි essential oils extract කරන්න ගන්න. Salt extraction එකට මොනවද ගත්තේ ළමයි? Salt extraction එකට use කරේ evaporation and crystallization. Essential oil extraction වලට solvent extractions and steam distillation. From cinnamon leaves, oil is obtained by passing steam through them. මේ තියෙන example එකක් දීලා cinnamon leaves වලින් ගන්න විදිය. Extraction of essential oils by steam distillation. මෙතන water තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ heat වෙද්දී steam bath එකක් වෙනවා. එතකොට මෙතනින් steam එක ගිහිල්ලා මේ පැත්තට ගිහිල්ලා මේ cinnamon leaves through යනවා. ඒ through යද්දී මේකේ තියෙන දැන් 100 degree celsius වලින් මේ එන්නේ ඊට පස්සේ මේකේ තියෙන අර volatile components water එක්කම මෙහෙම යනවා. ගිහලා මේ තියෙන condenser එකක් වතුර තියෙන්නේ වටේට. ඒ condenser එකේ ගිහින් මෙතනට cinnamon oil and water හම්බ වෙනවා මෙහෙම ගිහිල්ලා. අපිට cinnamon oil and water හම්බ වෙනවා. oil එක උඩ පාවෙනවා. water පල්ලෙහා ඉතුරු වෙනවා. In this method, steam generated by the steam bath is passed through the plant parts. Essential oils being mixed with water vapor vaporizes at a temperature below 100 degrees Celsius. See? Below 100 degrees Celsius. තොර ඒවා විනාශ වෙන්නේ නැහැ volatile components ටික. Condensation of this mixture of vapor. Condensation of this mixture of vapor. It's a mixture of vapors. Why? It contains water vapor and also the vapor of that volatile component of the plant part. Gives essential oil and water. As they are immiscible, they can be obtained separately. උඩට එකතු වෙන oils ටික අපිට ඒ ටික separately ගන්න පුළුවන්. Assignment: Inquire into a traditional method of cinnamon oil extraction in Sri Lanka and prepare a report. ඔයගොල්ලෝ YouTube එකේ search කරලා බලන්න. ලස්සනට මේ extraction methods තියෙනවා. Obtaining essential oils by solvent extraction. Solvent extraction is another method of extracting essential oils. Organic solvents such as ether, you remember these ones, chloroform and toluene are used in this method. When plant parts are shaken with a solvent, essential oil dissolves in the solvent. The essential oil is separated by letting the solvent to vaporize. Volatile oils in some plants part can also be obtained by compressing them under suitable pressure. එන්න මේ ක්‍රමයටත් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. ප්‍රෙෂරයිස් කරලත් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා තමයි මේ කියන්නේ. මේක තව මෙතඩ් එකක්. So this is a summary. Read it and do the exercise, okay? This part also. Do the whole exercise when do it today, okay? That's all about this lesson. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you.